I am back with chapter 11 of Dragons in a Bag. I clutch Ma's purse and scan the horizon. Up ahead, there's a bright orange tent with open flaps billowing in the breeze. Beneath it are three people. One is sitting on a stool, another is sitting on the ground, and a third is pacing back and forth. I search for Ma's snowy afro, but it is vanishing between the fingers of the woman on the chair. Her own straight black hair is gathered in a single long braid, and her nimble brown fingers are weaving Ma's white hair into tidy cornrows. Before I know what I'm doing, I burst into a sprint and race down the road. Trub's laughter floats in the air behind me, and all three people in the tent turn in my direction as a red cloud of dust rises at my heels. It's not easy to run when you have a heavy book bag on your back, plus a purse in your hand, but I reach the tent in less than 20 seconds. I'm so happy to see Ma, it feels like my heart will burst. But for some reason, I don't enter the tent. Instead, I just stand at the edge of the woven reed mat and stare at the three elders before me. Ma is still wearing her purple housecoat. Her legs stretch out before her and are crossed at the ankles. Her black leather sneakers sit a few feet away next to her carefully folded coat. On her lap is a cloth napkin, and in her hands, Ma holds a knife and a large fruit that looks like the sun that's missing from the sky. Well, 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 look who it is. You certainly took your time, Ma says with a wink. I can only grin because I'm panting too hard to speak. With the knife, Ma peels the skin away to reveal flesh that is the same warm golden color. She slices off some fruit, but before eating it, Ma tilts her head to address the woman behind her. I told you he'd figure out how to find me. That boy's smart as a whip. Do you guys know what that means, smart as a whip? It just means really smart. The woman nods but keeps her lips pressed together in a straight line. Her sharp eyes sweep over me and I find myself blushing for some reason. A neon green butterfly flits around her head before landing on her ear. It sits there for several seconds, opening and closing its wings as if sharing a secret with the stern woman. Something tells me she's a witch too, though she and Ma could just be related. Her skin is the color of coffee beans, and she has no wrinkles, though several silver strands are woven into her black braid. The man has stopped pacing and stands with his hands clasped behind his back. He has a shiny brown bald head, glasses, and a white mustache that hides his mouth. He's wearing faded jeans and a hole in one knee, and brightly colored dashiki. The green butterfly vanishes on the breeze when Trub reaches the tent. He immediately shakes hands with the man and says, "Nice to see you again, Professor." "Always a pleasure, Trub," the man replies with a dignified bow. "This is my grandson, Jackson," Trub says, with what sounds like pride. "Elroy Jenkins," the man announces before giving my hand a hearty shake. Then he takes off his round, wire-framed glasses and peers into my face. "Strong family resemblance," he muses, as if I were a specimen in a science lab. "Does he share your interest in magic? Or does he take after his mother?" Before Trub can answer, Ma interrupts. "Jax is his own person, so don't you start comparing him to anyone else." There's a picture where they are. "He's been a big help to me today. Jax, this here's Sis," Ma says, jabbing her thumb in the woman's direction. "Nice to meet you, ma'am," I say, even though Sis doesn't seem that happy to meet me. She finishes the last braid and pats Ma's head as she admires her handiwork. Then she gathers up the tufts of white hair that are stuck in the teeth of the wooden comb. She rolls the hair into a ball and holds her palm up to her mouth. With one gentle puff, the ball of hair bursts into flames and vanishes. I've never seen a woman who can breathe fire, but I try not to look shocked in case she takes offense. Trub nods respectfully at Sis before stooping to kiss Ma on the cheek. "Sorry to keep you waiting, Ma," he says. Trub steps back so I can greet Ma, but I still don't move. I can't. My feet that flew over the dirt road a moment ago now feel like lead. Ma sits on the mat calmly, peeling the golden fruit. I want to throw my arms around her and squeeze her as tight as I can, but right now she seems harder to hug than the baobab trees. Ma looks at me and frowns. "What's wrong, boy?" "Cat got your tongue? Here, have some of this." Have you guys heard that phrase before? Cat got your tongue? It means like you can't talk. Ma slices off a juicy wedge of fruit and passes it to me on the knife's blade. I take the slippery slice and shove it in my mouth. I savor the sweet fruit and then ask, "Mango?" What do you think I was eating? Ma replies, with a spark of mischief in her eyes. I shrug and say, something magical, I guess. Can't improve on mangoes, Ma says. Then she nods at the bag I'm holding. I see you brought my purse. Good work, Jax. I nod and proudly set it down beside her on the mat. Those dragons give you any trouble? Ma asks. I glance at Trub and say, well, just a little. Then I stick out my chest and add, nothing I can't handle. Ma sets aside her mango and wipes her hands on the napkin. Then she opens her purse and takes out the red mint tin. She can tell right away that it's empty. Where are they? She asks anxiously. I had to move them to the side pocket, I say. I decide not to tell Ma why unless she asks. Ma quickly unzips the side pocket and carefully takes out the sandwich bag. The dragons, bigger than the last time I saw them, strain against the plastic. Whining pitifully, I beam with pride but eventually notice that no one else is smiling. In fact, everyone else looks worried. I peer more closely at the plastic bag and realize something is wrong. There are only 2 dragons in the bag. Do you guys remember how many dragons there were to start? There were 3 dragons, and now there's only 2. Ma raises her eyes to meet mine. She's not angry yet, but without meaning to, I've embarrassed Ma in front of her friends. She takes a deep breath and says, Jax, I've always tried to be honest with you, and now I need you to be honest with me. Did you lose the 3rd dragon? No, I cry, blinking back tears of frustration. Sis glares at me. Did you think you could keep one for yourself? Stunned, I swallow hard and try to think of something to say. There were 3 dragons when I left Brooklyn, but there are only 2 in Ma's hand now. I drop to my knees and rifle through Ma's purse. They were there, all 3 of them. I put them in a sandwich bag, but the fire-breathing one melted the plastic, so I thought they'd be safer in the side pocket. I trusted you, Jax, Ma said with obvious disappointment. Sis sucks her teeth and looks at me with disdain. What did you expect from a mere boy? My face feels like it's on fire. But the dragon lady turns her full fury on the professor. I trusted you, Elroy. You swore you would keep my dragons safe. I kept my promise, sis. Your dragons have come to no harm. It's destiny. Elroy proclaims triumphantly. Magic will find its way back into our world, no matter how hard you try to keep it out, Ma. Actually, Trub says, I think I know what happened to the last dragon. Nate did say he smelled a thief, and Jax has a little friend with sticky fingers, right? I really don't want to solve another riddle right now, but as soon as Trub says sticky, I know exactly what he means. Kavita, I shout angrily as if she could hear me. She stole my dragon. My dragon, you mean. I look up to find Sis's laser-like eyes on me. The neon green butterfly has been replaced with another. Its red wings beat so fast that it looks like a flame, dancing around her stern face. I look down at Ma's empty purse to hide my shame. Ma hands the 2 dragons over to Sis. As soon as she frees them from the plastic bag, they disappear in the folds of her shimmering dress. Ma closes her purse and clicks the latch. Well, she says with a heavy sigh. What do we do now? I jump up and volunteer. I'll go back and get it, Ma. When Vic finds out what his sister's done, she'll be in so much trouble. Too late, Elroy says with a smug smile on his face. They're growing. This Kavita, she fed them, I presume. I avoid Ma's eyes again and nod reluctantly. Elroy claps his hands and hops from one foot to the other. The remaining dragon will have grown attached to the girl already. I could have saved precious time and mailed them directly to her instead. Maybe that's the way to ensure the future of magic. Leave it to the kiddies. Hush up, Elroy, Ma hisses. I'm trying to think. For a moment, we all stand under the tent waiting for Ma to come up with a solution. Finally, Trub clears his throat and says, I'll take the boy back to Brooklyn, Ma. We can pick up the last dragon and come straight back here. Ma shakes her head. I appreciate the offer, Trub, but you don't know what state that dragon is in now. It could be too big to transport if the girls have been feeding it, and the other 2 dragons won't thrive until they're reunited with their sibling. No, this is something I need to handle myself. Ma holds out her hands, and Trub pulls her to her feet. Elroy picks up Ma's trench coat and holds it out as she slips her arms into the sleeves. I set Ma's sneakers in front of her, and she slips them on without unfastening the Velcro straps. Sis hands Ma her cane. So much for retirement, Ma says with a sigh. Then she pulls her purse straps over her shoulder and says, Come on, Jax. Time to go home. I don't want to question Ma, but we can't all fit in that transporter. Trub puts his hand on my shoulder and says, I'm going to stay here with Elroy, Jax. You go with Ma. and I'll catch up with you later. My heart is already heavy, but now my throat starts to close too. If Trub is a rolling stone, will I see him again? I swallow hard and manage to squeak out one word. Promise? Trub pulls me close and gives me a hug. Promise. You are one brave boy, Jackson. But you've done enough for one day. Go home and give that big brain of yours a rest. Us old folks will take it from here. Trub bends down and presses his lips to the top of my head. Kiss your mama for me, he whispers in my ear before walking away from the tent. Elroy shakes my hand, looks over his glasses. Remember, Jax, he says solemnly, magic will find you, if you believe. Elroy turns and salutes Ma, who just rolls her eyes. Then he joins Trub, and together they head off down the red dirt road. I must make preparations for your journey, Sis says solemnly. She grabs hold of the wooden pole holding up the tent, and instantly everything around it disappears. The orange cloth, the stool, the reed mat, and the bowl of golden mangoes. I will wait for you at the gate, Sis tells Ma. She says nothing to me before wading into the blue grass growing beneath the baobab trees. I watch Sis walk away with the staff in her hand, wishing I had the courage to blurt out a promise. I will return your dragon. But before I build up the nerve, a sudden gust of wind blows dust into my eye, and when I clear them, Sis has disappeared.